Hey, Shalom Akim Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that's so teaching this truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with the 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes, and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Tazaman from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back today with another lesson, and I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect and to the point. And today's lesson is going to be entitled, Bishop Nathaniel Goes Off on Isaiah 13. The Medes is Russia and not Iran. All right, Bishop Nathaniel goes off on Isaiah 13. The Medes is Russia and not Iran. All right, and this is why beginning with the apostles on down, it's good to constantly have a refresher, on these, on the prophetic breakdowns. For example, Isaiah the 13th chapter. I know Elder Apostle Tahar recently mentioned Isaiah the 13th chapter and getting back and doing a full breakdown on that again. We've gone through it time and time again. But, it's good just to, constantly go over the breakdowns, because the scripture says in Revelation 19 that the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So in the last days, we should be going over prophecy, like I said, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 34, Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, like Revelation 17, Revelation 18, Ezekiel 37, Ezekiel 38, so on and so forth. There's all kinds of prophetic chapters that lead to end time prophecy, but the main focus of this lesson is correcting what Bishop Nathaniel said here of the IUIC, alluding to the Medes here being Iran and not being Russia. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and play this. Like I said, this isn't going to be too long, but I'm just going to play it, and we're going to get straight to the points here. All right,
let me hear it.
Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them.
That's it. I will stir up Iran against you. That's the prophecy. Go ahead.
And Iran, that's not talking about Iran. All right, the Medes here is talking about Russia. All right, because there's a clear distinction between Persia and the Medes. Now, when you go into the actual historical, when you go into the actual historical account of Babylon being taken down, roughly around like 539 BC, something along those lines, Babylon was taken down by the by the Medes and the Persians. When I say the Medes and the Persians, the Medes rose up first. All right, and then the Medes amalgamated their empire into the Persian Empire. But when you read in the prophecy in Isaiah the 13th chapter, all right, just give me 1 second. Let me move this here. When you read in the prophecy in Isaiah the 13th chapter, all right, this is how you know this is not talking about ancient Babylon. This is talking about a new Babylon. All right, a prophetic Babylon. All right, so it says Isaiah 13 and 17. It says, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it. It says, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. And their bows here is talking about the missiles. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare any children. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. You see, so ancient Babylon didn't fall, all right, as the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah, because how was Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed? Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by a fire and brimstone that came from heaven, from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, to the point whereas it was likened unto a nuclear destruction, even though it wasn't nuclear missiles, but it was likened unto a nuclear type of destruction to a degree, based on the fact that nothing grows there. It's pretty much a desolate and barren land. You know, and it was destroyed. And even when you go to the even when you go to the area of where Sodom and Gomorrah is today, which you had an archaeologist by the name of Ron Wyatt that went over there. He tested the dirt samples. It was pretty much in high concentrated sulfur, which is the brimstone. All right, it says it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Because and that's how you know it's not talking about ancient Babylon, because ancient Babylon or modern day Iraq today, which is the land of where ancient Babylon will be, is being inhabited. You know, you have people that are there right now. It says, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherd make their foes there. The wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. All right, it says, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And you read that in Isaiah the 34th chapter. And owls shall dwell there, and satire shall dance there. All right, satire shall dance there. But the main point is how the Medes here is not talking about Iran. It's talking about Russia. Now, Iran or Persia, all right, will be in coalition with the Russians, but they're not going to lead the Medes, if you will, are not. The Medes being Iran doesn't fit the fact of how Iran, as Bishop Nathaniel was saying, will lead the forefront in the destruction of America. That's going to be done by Russia. Remember, the scripture says in Revelation, the 13th chapter, that this beast system, all right, would have the head of a leopard, all right, but it would have the feet of a bear, indicating the fall of this empire will come through Russia, you know, leading the pack of the coalition nations that will ultimately send forth nuclear missiles on this place. For example, China is going to be used in the destruction of America. All right, Iran is going to be used in the destruction of America. Ethiopia is going to be used in the destruction of America. Libya is going to be used. Pakistan is going to be used. Also, NATO and EU nations, all right, that are in league with this beast system will eventually turn and hate the whore, as it says in Revelation 17. But the point is that the Medes here is not talking about Iran. It's talking about Russia. All right, we'll listen to a little bit more and get a few more precepts and get out of here.
Which shall not regard silver.
So, all right, Iran don't care about luxury dressing and rings. They don't care about that. Read that part again. Which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they
which it says when it says that they're not going to regard silver nor gold, it's talking about there's not going to be any kind of deals that's going to be made to stop, all right, the destruction of Babylon and them shooting their ICBM thermonuclear missiles over here. For example, Russia has hypersonic missiles. They have the Satan II missile, which one Satan II missile can destroy the whole east coast of America, just one of them, because it has multiple warheads. You see, but there's not going to be any kind of deal that can be made to stop the destruction, because the Lord is going to ultimately place it in their heart. As the scripture says in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, that we'll get it, but he's going to put hooks in Gog and Magog, which Magog means of Gog or from Gog. He's going to put the hooks in Gog's jaws and reel them and pretty much stir Russia into the direction they need to go for prophecy to be fulfilled of Babylon the Great being destroyed. So there's not going to be any kind of deal or ceasefire that's going to be made that's going to ultimately cause the missiles that are being shot from one end of the earth to the other to stop. All right, they're not going to regard any kind of monetary deal or anything of that nature. All right,
shall not delight in it.
They don't delight in silver and gold. Black people do, but Iran says no. We got tons of that. It's nothing to us. We want weapons.
You see, he's going off. All right, talking about Jake, with Jake regards silver and gold, but Iran they got tons of silver and gold. They got tons of it. And it's like, really they don't. Because they're really, they have particular trade deals that they make with other nations, but there's a lot of nations that that America placed sanctions on Iran, so whereas they can't really trade like that. Like I said, I'm not saying that they don't have no trade partners, but that's not talking about Iran there. All right.
Iran wants weapons. They're making weapons. Go ahead.
Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces.
Their bows is their silos with the missiles. Go ahead.
And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb.
When those missiles hit, there's no pity on the fruit of the womb. Go ahead.
Their eyes shall not spare children.
Their eyes shall not spare children. So people may say, Christians say, no. That's talking about ancient Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar. Read the next verse.
In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah were annihilated by nuclear fire. People are still in Iraq living.
So I mean, he's breaking that part down correctly, but the point is that the Medes are not talking about Iran. The Medes are talking about Russia. All right, let's get Jeremiah 50 and verse. We'll get a few scriptures here. This is Jeremiah 50 and 40. Let's see. Yeah, we'll start at verse 40. It says, as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, saith Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell there. And that's a direct precept. It's what we just read. All right, even when you start up a little bit higher, it's a direct precept of what we just read in Isaiah the 13th chapter, right? Now here's the point. This is how you know that this is not talking about Iran, right? It says, behold, a people shall come from the north. And Russia is considered far north. Russia's far north of Israel. It's north of Iran. Okay, because when you read about the north, like the North Country, sometimes it could be referring to Russia. Sometimes it could be referred to America. But this is where you got to spiritually discern. Mind you, what we just read above in verse 40 is a direct link to what we just read in Isaiah 13. That's why the scripture says precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, right? So it says, behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And those many kings that'll be raised up from the coast is going to be that coalition, you know, who Russia pretty much is going to be heading the pack, but it's going to be those coalition of nations with them. Verse 42. They shall hold the bow and the lance. Direct link to what we just read in Isaiah 13. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array. And those horses are talking about the missiles. Like a man, and that links up to Joel, the second chapter. Like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. See that? The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them. He heard the report of these hypersonic missiles being shot, right? Beginning and being headed by Russia. And his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold on him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Okay? So this isn't talking, that's not talking about Iran, because Iran is not going to lead the coalition. All right? Russia is going to lead the coalition. Let's go up. Jeremiah 50 verse 3. It says, for out of the north there cometh up a nation against her. Against who? Against Babylon the Great. But it's from the north, once again, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast, going into the destruction of America. Okay? Jump down to verse 9. It says, for lo, I will raise, and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. An assembly. Well, who is that assembly? Who's going to be heading that assembly? Russia, which we're going to get. We're going to get here in a minute. And they shall set themselves in array against her, that her is Babylon, the great America. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty, their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. See, pretty much them being shot from their silos, being shot from one end of the earth to the other. Because if Russia shoots off an ICBM, it could reach America within minutes. You know, within like 30 minutes or so. None shall return in vain. Going to how they're not going to break their rank. You know, they're not going to set up no deal, whereas now a deal's going to be made. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, you know what, it's fine. And all of a sudden, the missiles just explode in the firmament, and everybody clapping, cheering. Woo, that was close. Phew. We thought it was going to be nuclear destruction. No, once the missiles are shot, that's going to be it. All right, going back to Jeremiah 51, verse 48, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Jeremiah 51 verse 8, it says, then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon. It says, remember, it tells you how the fir trees are going to rejoice in Isaiah 14, and how the whole earth is going to be at rest because the hammer of the earth is going to be taken down. All right. It says, for the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith Yahweh. Once again, Persia is not the far north. Russia is the far north. And I want to say, let me see if I can find something. Give me 1 second. So if you look at a map like this, you have the Median Empire, which you do have Persia on the bottom, but you have, it's further north. I mean, this is like one of the better ones. This isn't the best one I could find, but, you know, it kind of gives you an example of where the Medes ruled, and their empire ruled farther north up by the Caspian Sea, where you see where it says Scythians there. You see the Scythians are where the modern day Russians today, which the Scythians were really was began with Jake. You see, but it's up north, up by the Caspian Sea. All right, like I said, there's other maps I couldn't really find. There was one map, I don't know, I seen it like a while ago, but I don't see it no more on the internet. But the Medes there, from that north country, all right, from the north, linking Jeremiah 50 and Isaiah 13 together, is going into that coalition. All right, between Russia, Russia heading that coalition from the north, and the rest of the different nations alongside Russia. Like here it is, Jeremiah 51:11, make bright the arrows, which are the missiles, gather the shields. Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. See, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. Okay? Because once again, Iran is not going to be heading that coalition. When you read in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, it pretty much mentions how Persia is going to be alongside Gog and Magog. You see, in Gog, it's not like you have the nation of Gog and then you have the nation of Magog. It's just written as Gog and Magog, but Magog is from Gog. But, Persia itself is listed directly by itself when you read in Ezekiel 38:5. Okay? See, like I mentioned earlier, I will put hooks in our jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, you see that? Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tergamot of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. You see that? So Russia is going to be heading that coalition, and Persia is going to be with them. Not Persia heading the coalition. All right, so Bishop Nathaniel was going off there. But I just wanted to do this quick lesson. I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone that taught us his truth, and that's what teaching is truth. Much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Until next time, Lord willing, I say shalom.